Have you ever wondered what makes some people age beautifully while others find growing older so hard? Imagine learning the 10 important skills that 99% of people over 70 cannot do anymore. Skills that can change your life and keep your heart young and strong. In this story, you'll meet Samuel, a 78-year-old man who shows us that getting older doesn't mean getting weaker. Through his simple way of living and wise thinking, Samuel proves that age can bring strength, not just problems. Stay with me until the end, and you'll discover Samuel's amazing secret, a simple but powerful way of thinking that can change how you live your later years. Whether you're getting older yourself or helping someone you love, this story will teach you how to live happily and independently. If you find this helpful, please let me know in the comments. Your support means everything to me. If you enjoy this story, please like and share it to help others learn these important lessons too. Now let's begin. Discover the amazing power of these life-changing skills and why they matter so much, especially as we get older. It's not just about living longer, it's about living better with purpose and joy every single day. Picture a life where each day has meaning, no matter how old you are. Today, you'll learn a new way to think about getting older that can completely change your life. Before we learn these important lessons, let me tell you about Samuel and his incredible story. Samuel's story: in a peaceful village surrounded by rolling green hills, lived a man who was truly special. His name was Samuel, and at 78 years old he had a calmness, wisdom, and energy that amazed everyone who met him. You could feel peace just being near him. His face, marked by years of sun and hard work, showed the signs of a life well lived, a life full of work, nature, and deep thinking. For many people in the village, Samuel was like a bright light of hope in a world that often thinks getting older means getting weaker. They called him the wise man of the gardens, and it was easy to see why. Samuel wasn't rich or lazy. He had spent his whole life working with plants, growing vegetables, and taking care of the land. His hands were strong and rough from years of working outside. But even though his work was hard on his body, Samuel seemed to move through life easily when others his age struggled with simple tasks. At an age when most people need help with daily activities, Samuel seemed almost timeless. His spirit was strong, his energy was endless. It was like the years had given him something special that others didn't understand. What made him so different? How did he manage to stay strong when so many others his age had problems? It wasn't because of some magic medicine or an easy life. Samuel's secret was much deeper and simpler. His secret was in how he faced life. He didn't run away from problems or give up when things got hard. Instead, he welcomed challenges and embraced them. Every morning, long before anyone else in the village woke up, Samuel would get up with the sunrise. He would stand at his door, watching the sun come up over the mountains, and smile quietly. He saw each day as a gift, a chance to live fully, work with his hands, and connect with the world around him. Whether he was planting seeds in the morning or picking vegetables in the afternoon, Samuel's movements always had purpose. There was joy in his work, a rhythm he had learned over many years of working with nature's seasons. He was never in a hurry, but his work was always done carefully and well. It was like time slowed down for him, letting him live in each moment, completely. One day, a young man from the village came to Samuel. This young man was worried about getting older and all the problems that come with age. He couldn't understand how Samuel stayed so happy and energetic when everyone else his age was struggling. "How do you do it?" the young man asked, his voice full of curiosity and worry. "How do you stay so full of life when others are so tired and sad?" Samuel stopped for a moment, his wise eyes twinkling with the light of many lessons learned. With a peaceful smile, he began to share a story that his grandfather had told him many years ago. His grandfather, like Samuel, had aged with grace and strength, and it was from him that Samuel had learned life's most important lesson. "My grandfather," Samuel began, "always told me that the real secret to a good life isn't just about taking care of your body. It's about how you choose to face each new day. Life," he said, "is like a garden we tend. You must plant your seeds, carefully take care of the soil, and work with love. But just as important, you must learn to accept whatever nature gives you. There will be times when storms come and destroy what you've planted, and times when the rain doesn't come when you need it. But instead of fighting the storm, you must learn to bend with it. Find joy in each season, even the difficult ones. This lesson was full of deep wisdom. Samuel understood that life was about more than just staying physically strong. It was about building a mind and spirit that could handle life's storms and stay calm and grateful even when things got hard. His grandfather had taught him that real energy comes from inside, from the attitude you choose to carry, from the way you see each new challenge as a chance to grow, and that's exactly what Samuel did every single day. He faced life with unshakable peace and purpose and the courage to meet life's challenges head-on. Samuel showed that getting older doesn't have to mean getting weaker. He proved that even as the body ages, the mind and spirit can continue to grow strong if we take care of them. He was living proof that the limits of aging can be overcome, not by fighting or denying age, but by accepting it with gratitude and a commitment to living fully in every moment. Now it's your turn to learn from Samuel's wisdom. Like him, you, too, can learn these principles in your own life, overcoming the challenges that aging often brings. Let's explore the first 3 important skills that 99% of people over 70 can no longer do. Skills that Samuel not only kept, but mastered. These aren't just physical skills. They are the foundation of a life filled with purpose, joy, and happiness even in old age. Are you ready to embrace this new way of living? To see aging not as decline, but as an opportunity for growth, learning, and deeper connections? Let's begin this journey together, learning from Samuel's timeless wisdom. Skill 1. Maintaining physical independence. As the years go by, the first skill that many people over 70 lose is their physical independence. Whether it's walking long distances, standing up without help, or even doing simple daily tasks like getting dressed or making meals, losing mobility is a painful reality for many elderly people. It leaves them feeling frustrated, dependent, and often defeated. But Samuel was different. At 78, while many people his age needed walkers or help from others, Samuel continued to work in his beloved garden every single day with strength and energy that seemed almost impossible. So what was his secret? How did this amazing man keep his physical independence when so many others his age struggled? It wasn't because he was trying to have the body of a young person. Samuel wasn't chasing youth or pretending he wasn't old. Instead, he did something far more powerful and meaningful: consistency. Day after day, no matter what the weather was like or how he felt, Samuel made sure to keep his body moving. He didn't let himself become lazy, and that was the key to his strength. It wasn't just about the hard work of gardening either. Samuel did gentle stretching exercises every day, making sure his muscles stayed flexible and his joints moved easily. He ate healthy, nourishing food that gave his body energy, treating it with respect and care. This consistency was at the heart of how he maintained his independence. Here's where Samuel's wisdom shows itself. He accepted his body's natural limits but had the courage to push through those limits without giving up completely. Samuel didn't get angry about the aging process. He embraced it with grace. He knew that aging brings challenges, but he met them head-on with quiet strength and daily commitment to rise above what could hold him back. Think about your own life for a moment. Do you keep your body moving every day? Are you taking care of it in a way that will help you in the years to come? Or have you already started to let small limitations take away your independence? Now is the time to make those small but powerful changes. You don't need to run marathons or lift heavy weights, but you do need to commit to honoring your body with movement, care, and the same quiet strength that Samuel showed. The journey to keeping physical independence doesn't have to be scary. It can start with the smallest steps, a few stretches in the morning, a daily walk, or even just changing how you think about your body. With consistency, patience, and respect for your body's natural rhythms, you can continue to live with the same self-reliance and energy that Samuel demonstrated. Let his story remind you that aging isn't the end of your strength. It's a chance to build a deeper, more meaningful relationship with your body that will carry you through the years with grace and purpose. Skill 2. Accepting change without fighting. The second skill that often disappears as people age is something much more emotional, but equally important: the ability to accept change without fighting it. Change is always happening in life, but as we grow older, it becomes harder to embrace. We fight changes in our bodies, our abilities, our relationships, and even in the world around us. The fear of losing what we once had, the energy, the independence, the strength, can be overwhelming and paralyzing. Many people find themselves holding on to the past, trying to keep a version of themselves that no longer exists. But this fighting, this refusal to adapt, only leads to more suffering. Samuel, however, showed us a different path. He had mastered the art of accepting change with grace. His life reflected a wise philosophy he quietly lived by, a philosophy that teaches us that fighting change is useless and only brings unnecessary pain. At 78, Samuel was fully aware of the changes his body had gone through and the limitations that had slowly appeared over time. But instead of fighting against these changes, instead of being sad about what he could no longer do, he chose to accept them. He adapted his life accordingly, embracing the challenges of each new day with the same calm and open heart he had always carried. To Samuel, change was not something to be feared or fought. It was simply a part of life's natural flow. He knew that every stage of life brings its own lessons and opportunities. Over the years, Samuel experienced the inevitable changes that come with aging. His body didn't move as quickly as it once did. His hands, once unbreakable, had softened with time. His circle of friends had grown smaller, and his role in the community had changed. But through all of these changes, he never once let himself be consumed by regret or bitterness. Instead, he embraced each new chapter of his life with quiet strength, finding peace in the things he could still do and letting go of what he could not. This mindset was the key to his remarkable ability to remain content and fulfilled as he aged. Samuel didn't waste time feeling sorry about the things he had lost. He didn't dwell on the past or wish for the days when he was younger, stronger, or faster. Instead, he focused on what was in front of him, on what he could still accomplish, on the relationships he still cherished, and on the small joys that each day brought. By letting go of his fighting against change, Samuel discovered a kind of freedom that many of us never find. Change was no longer his enemy. It had become his friend. This is where we can learn from him. Think about your own life for a moment. Are there changes you're fighting? Are there parts of your life that you're holding on to so tightly that it's causing you more pain than peace? It's natural to fear change. It's part of being human. We want things to stay as they are, especially when they're comfortable or familiar. But when we fight the inevitable, we only create more suffering for ourselves. Samuel teaches us that by accepting what we cannot change, we open ourselves up to new possibilities. When we stop fighting against the current and learn to flow with it, life becomes easier. This doesn't mean we have to like every change or feel good about it right away, but it does mean recognizing that change is a part of life, a necessary, sometimes difficult, but ultimately transformative part of life. The truth is, there is great strength in accepting change and adapting to what life brings our way. When we stop fighting, we allow ourselves to heal, to grow, and to discover new parts of ourselves that we might have otherwise missed. Samuel's ability to accept change with grace wasn't just a skill he developed over time. It was a way of living that brought him peace, joy, and a sense of freedom that so many of us long for. So now it's time to ask yourself, are you fighting change in your life? Are you holding on to something that no longer serves you out of fear or nostalgia? It's worth thinking about what you could gain by letting go of that fighting, by accepting the inevitable shifts in your life and seeing them not as losses, but as opportunities for growth. Samuel's story reminds us that change, though often difficult, is not something to fear. It's something to embrace, something that can open doors we never knew existed. When we stop fighting against what we cannot control, we make space for new joys, new strengths, and new freedoms. What might you discover if you let go of fighting and welcome change with open arms? The answer could transform your life just as it did for Samuel. Skill 3. Maintaining intellectual curiosity. The third skill that unfortunately 99% of people over 70 lose is intellectual curiosity. For many, the flame of curiosity begins to dim as they age, often fading into the belief that they've already learned all there is to know or that their time for discoveries has passed. So many elderly people give up on learning, settling into a life of routine where growth takes a backseat and the thirst for new knowledge disappears. But Samuel was a bright example of what it means to be a lifelong learner, someone who never let his mind become stagnant. Despite never having had the privilege of formal education, Samuel's curiosity about the world remained as vibrant and alive as it was in his youth. He had spent years growing his mind, knowing that intellectual curiosity was the key to keeping the brain young, alert, and full of life. His interests were wide-ranging, from reading books about new gardening techniques to exploring the wisdom of ancient philosophies that had deeply shaped his way of living. Every day, Samuel approached the world with fresh eyes, eager to learn something new. To him, each sunrise represented another opportunity to grow, to stretch his mind, and to challenge his understanding of the world. It was this unquenchable thirst for knowledge that gave Samuel an energy that many his age had long since lost. While others might say, "I've seen it all," or "there's nothing new for me," Samuel woke up each day believing that there was always more to discover. This mindset wasn't just about gathering facts, it was about nurturing a spirit of wonder and excitement. For him, learning was not a task or obligation. It was a way of keeping life interesting, a way of staying connected to the world. His philosophy taught that we should never stop learning and that each day offers new lessons, whether they are intellectual, emotional, or spiritual. For Samuel, this philosophy was deeply ingrained. His commitment to learning was what kept his mind sharp and his heart open to new experiences. This is what allowed him to continue seeing life as a series of opportunities rather than limitations. Now think about it. How many times have you told yourself that you're too old to learn something new, or that you've already learned enough? We often forget that learning isn't just for the young, it's for everyone at every stage of life. As we age, the act of learning becomes even more important. It keeps our minds flexible and prevents us from falling into mental rigidity. Samuel's life serves as a reminder that it's never too late to awaken that curiosity, and that intellectual growth doesn't stop just because the years have passed. When was the last time you picked up a book or took an interest in a subject you knew little about? If it's been a while, let Samuel's example inspire you to rekindle that spark of curiosity. Whether it's exploring a new hobby, learning a new language, or simply asking more questions about the world around you, now is the perfect time to remind yourself that your brain has no expiration date. Your mind, just like Samuel's, can remain curious and vibrant no matter how many years have passed. These first three skills, maintaining physical independence, accepting change without fighting it, and keeping intellectual curiosity alive, are only the beginning. Samuel is living proof that it is possible to hold on to these essential qualities even as the years advance. But there's so much more to his story. The lessons he learned, the challenges he faced, and the wisdom he gained shaped him into the man he became today. His life was not always easy or simple. On the contrary, it was filled with obstacles, moments of doubt, and hardships that could have easily broken his spirit. A few years ago, Samuel faced one of the greatest challenges of his life, a condition that attacked his joints and began to limit his ability to work in the garden, which had been his passion and source of income for so many years. His hands, which had once been so strong and capable, started to fail him. With every passing day, he felt growing pain and stiffness, and the simple act of holding a tool became increasingly difficult. What had once been effortless was now a struggle. The doctor warned him that he would likely have to accept that his days of working in the garden were over. Many in his position would have fallen into despair, giving up and accepting a life of helplessness and dependence. But for Samuel, this was where the real learning began. Rather than giving up, he turned to the philosophy he had embraced in his youth. He couldn't control the condition, but he knew he could control how he responded to it. Instead of letting pain dictate his life, he chose to adapt. He learned to accept his limitations without fighting them, and found new ways to work with his body instead of against it. Samuel began using lighter tools and gentler techniques in the garden, allowing him to continue his work without overwhelming his joints. Most importantly, he changed his mindset. Instead of fighting the inevitable, he chose to embrace it. This shift in perspective, aligned with wise teachings, allowed him to not only maintain his independence but to find a new way to enjoy life. What could have been a source of deep frustration became an opportunity for growth. Samuel's emotional strength grew as he learned to focus on what he could do, rather than dwelling on what he had lost. His practice of daily gratitude became his anchor. Every morning he would find something to be thankful for: the breeze through the trees, the sound of bird songs, the laughter of village children. These small moments of joy reminded him that, while his body might be changing, his spirit remained strong. As his physical abilities became more limited, Samuel discovered another lesson: the importance of finding new ways to contribute. Although he could no longer work the garden with the same intensity, he became a mentor to the younger people in the village, sharing his wisdom and experience with those who sought his guidance. In doing so, Samuel found a renewed sense of purpose. He was no longer just a gardener. He had become a teacher, a guide for the next generation. His life took on new meaning, and his legacy grew stronger as he passed on the knowledge he had gathered over a lifetime. Samuel's story shows us that old age doesn't have to be a time of loss. On the contrary, it can be a time of growth, adaptation, and contribution. His journey through pain, acceptance, and learning teaches us that even in the face of adversity, we can continue to thrive. The challenges he faced didn't break him. They shaped him into the wise and resilient man he is today. As we move forward, we'll explore the next 3 skills that people over 70 often lose, skills that go beyond the body and into the mind, heart, and soul. Stay with us on this journey, and let Samuel's wisdom inspire you to live your life with the same grace, strength, and curiosity that has guided him through the years. Skill 4. Maintaining a growth mindset as we age. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that we've seen it all, done it all, and learned everything there is to know. This mindset is especially common among the elderly, where the belief that you can't teach an old dog new tricks becomes more of a self-imposed barrier than a reality. But the truth is, there is always something new to learn. Growth never stops. No matter how many years have passed, Samuel is living proof of this. Unlike so many of his peers, Samuel never gave in to the belief that his capacity for growth had diminished with age. In fact, despite his advancing years, he continued to nurture what psychologists call a growth mindset. The idea that no matter how old you are, there's always room for improvement, for learning, for new experiences. To Samuel, life was an ongoing journey of discovery. He saw every day as an opportunity to broaden his horizons, gain new insights, and deepen his understanding of the world around him. Even when his hands could no longer hold a book as they once did, he didn't stop learning. He simply adapted. He turned to audiobooks and podcasts, absorbing wisdom through listening, and remained eager to share new ideas with the younger generations. While many elderly people close themselves off to new experiences, convinced that their learning years are behind them, Samuel did the exact opposite. He embraced change and continued to grow mentally and spiritually. This ability to maintain a growth mindset, this openness to learning and evolving, is one of the defining characteristics that separates those who age gracefully from those who merely endure old age. The sad reality is that 99% of people over 70 lose this ability. They convince themselves that their time for learning has passed, and that their role in the world is one of passive observation rather than active participation. In doing so, they limit not only their personal growth, but also their enjoyment of life. But Samuel teaches us something important. The mind never ages unless we let it. Just because our bodies grow older doesn't mean our minds have to follow suit. By maintaining a growth mindset, we can keep our minds young, curious, and vibrant. Samuel's passion for learning didn't just keep his intellect sharp, it also gave him a sense of purpose, a reason to wake up each morning with excitement. He knew that life had endless lessons to offer, and he was always ready to receive them. The wise philosophy teaches that life is a constant journey of self-improvement, and Samuel embodied this philosophy. For him, age was not a barrier to learning but an invitation to dive deeper into the mysteries of life. He never saw himself as finished or complete. There was always more to understand, more to explore. This is the essence of a growth mindset, the belief that no matter how old we get, we are never done growing. Think about your own life for a moment. Have you convinced yourself that your learning days are over? Do you believe that because you've reached a certain age, you've experienced everything there is to experience? If so, it might be time to reconsider. Ask yourself, what could I learn today? What new experience could I embrace that might challenge my understanding of the world or deepen my wisdom? A growth mindset doesn't just keep your brain young, it keeps your spirit alive. It's the fuel that drives us forward, regardless of how many years we've lived. Samuel's story is a powerful reminder that there is always room for growth, no matter our age. His commitment to learning, adapting, and growing is what allowed him to age with grace and joy. He never stopped seeking, never stopped questioning, and never stopped believing that life had more to offer him. This mindset is what differentiates those who thrive in their later years from those who merely survive. So what about you? Are you still open to learning new things? Are you willing to embrace new experiences even if they feel unfamiliar or uncomfortable? It's never too late to awaken that spark of curiosity, to challenge yourself to grow in ways you never imagined. A growth mindset isn't just about keeping your brain active, it's about keeping your life active, about remaining engaged with the world in a meaningful and purposeful way. Samuel may have faced the challenges of aging, but he never let those challenges define him. His mind remained open, his spirit remained curious, and his heart remained young. Through his commitment to growth, he found a kind of energy that many people lose long before their bodies start to slow down. By maintaining a growth mindset, you too can continue to find joy, purpose, and fulfillment in every stage of life. Remember, the journey of life doesn't end when we reach a certain age. It continues full of possibilities, for as long as we allow it to. Let Samuel's story inspire you to keep learning, keep growing, and keep living with the same sense of wonder and excitement that carried him through his days. After all, it's not just the years in our lives that matter. It's the life in our years. And with a growth mindset, we can make every single one of them count. Skill 5. Cultivating deep connections. As we grow older, it's all too common for people to distance themselves from others, either due to life's changing circumstances or the misguided belief that relationships no longer hold the same significance. Whether through the loss of loved ones, changes in physical ability, or the perception that friendships are meant for younger years, many find themselves drifting into isolation. But Samuel understood something that many forget. The key to a rich, fulfilling life lies in the connections we build with others, no matter our age. He knew that deep, meaningful relationships are what sustain us emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, offering a source of joy and purpose that no other achievement can match. While many of his contemporaries withdrew from social circles, choosing to live in isolation or limiting their interactions, Samuel made it a priority to maintain his close circle of friends. But he didn't stop there. He actively sought out new connections, always keeping his heart and mind open to the possibility of forming bonds with others. His life was full of conversation and companionship. Whether it was sharing stories and wisdom with the village's elderly or engaging in lively discussions with the youth, Samuel found that the energy and fresh perspectives he gained from talking to the younger generation were just as valuable as the shared memories and reflections he enjoyed with those his age. These deep connections weren't just about avoiding loneliness. They were the spark that kept him feeling alive. His relationships gave him a sense of belonging and purpose, reminding him that he was still an important part of his community, no matter his age. Through his connections, Samuel found a source of emotional nourishment that kept his spirit strong, even as his body aged. A common mistake among those over 70 is allowing their relationships to wither away, believing that their social life has reached its peak and that it's too late to forge new connections. This loss of connection can lead to feelings of isolation, depression, and a deep sense of loneliness that over time eats away at a person's sense of purpose. But as Samuel's life teaches us, relationships are what keep us truly alive. It's not just about being surrounded by people or engaging in shallow small talk. It's about building genuine, soul-nourishing relationships that remind us of our value and purpose. Samuel knew that building deep connections requires effort, but he also understood that the reward was worth far more than the energy it took. Every time he sat down to talk with a friend, offered advice to the village youth, or simply shared a cup of tea with a neighbor, he was enriching not only their lives, but his own. These moments of connection kept him engaged with the world, reminding him that even in old age he had something valuable to offer and something valuable to gain. For Samuel, relationships weren't something that expired with age. He believed that every person we meet holds the potential for a meaningful connection, no matter how old or young they are. By fostering those connections, he was able to maintain a sense of purpose and fulfillment that many people lose as they age. His life was proof that it's never too late to form new bonds, to build relationships that enrich your life and the lives of others. Think about your relationships for a moment. Have you allowed certain connections to fade? Do you feel disconnected from the people around you? It's those relationships that keep our hearts full and our spirits vibrant, reminding us that no matter how many years we've lived, we are never alone. The wise philosophy that Samuel lived by teaches us that we are social beings by nature. We thrive in the company of others and gain strength from our relationships. The world around us may change and our bodies may age, but the need for connection remains as important as ever. As we age, it becomes even more crucial. Genuine connections give us the strength to face life's challenges with grace and courage. They remind us that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. Samuel's life serves as a testament to the power of relationships that go beyond small talk or polite conversation. The depth of his connections gave him a sense of purpose that kept him going even on the most difficult days. Whether it was sharing wisdom, listening to the hopes and dreams of the younger generation, or simply being present for a friend in need, Samuel knew that these moments were the true essence of life. Are you fostering those deep connections in your own life? If not, it's time to reach out to an old friend, a family member, or even someone new. It's time to remember that relationships are not just something we need when we're young. They are the threads that weave meaning and purpose into every stage of life. The lesson is clear. As we age, we must not let our relationships fall by the wayside. We must nurture them, invest in them, and be willing to form new ones. These connections are what keep us grounded and remind us that no matter how old we are never truly alone. Let Samuel's life inspire you to cultivate those deep connections that enrich not only your own life but the lives of everyone around you. The bonds you form today can be the foundation of a life filled with love, joy, and purpose no matter how many years you've lived. Skill 6. Finding joy in small pleasures. As we rush through the earlier stages of life, caught up in the demands of work, family, and personal goals, it's easy to overlook the small pleasures that surround us each day. The singing of birds at dawn, the smell of fresh coffee brewing, the way the sun gently warms your skin on a cool morning. These moments often go unnoticed, overshadowed by the fast-paced demands of youth. However, as we age, we begin to slow down, and with that slowing comes an opportunity, a chance to rediscover the beauty in life's simplest joys. Sadly, 99% of people over 70 lose this ability. They get lost in the monotony of routine or consumed by the aches of their bodies, focusing more on what they've lost than what remains. But Samuel was different. He never stopped finding joy in the little things. In fact, for him, these small pleasures were essential lifelines to a deep sense of contentment and peace. While many of his peers focused on their declining physical strength or dwindling independence, Samuel chose to turn his attention to the things he could still experience fully, the subtle, everyday gifts that life offers. Every morning, before starting his day of work in the garden, Samuel would sit quietly on his porch, watching the horizon. The silence, the soft rustle of the trees in the breeze, the distant sounds of the village waking up, all of it filled him with a profound sense of peace. He didn't need anything more. In those moments, he simply enjoyed the present, embracing the quiet beauty of the world around him. It's easy to let our worries, body aches, or fears about the future cloud these moments of peace. It's easy to become so consumed by what we can no longer do that we forget to appreciate what we can still enjoy. But Samuel reminds us that life is full of these small moments of beauty, if only we take the time to notice them. The truth is, this simple practice of finding joy in the little things is a skill, and one that many lose as they age. However, those who, like Samuel, can keep this practice alive are the ones who truly continue to live vibrantly, meaningfully, and with gratitude. Life that continues to find joy in small pleasures is a life that remains connected to the essence of what it means to be human. When we pause to savor the present moment, whether it's the sound of laughter, the feel of rain on our skin, or the warmth of a loved one's touch, we remind ourselves that happiness isn't always found in big achievements or grand adventures. Sometimes, it's found in the stillness, in the everyday miracles that surround us. These small pleasures help us stay grounded. They give us a reason to smile, to breathe deeply, and to feel connected to the world even when we might be struggling with other aspects of aging. Samuel's daily practice of appreciating the beauty around him gave him a sense of purpose and fulfillment that many of his peers had lost. His ability to savor life's simple moments is a lesson for all of us, no matter our age. Combined with the other essential skills we've discussed, maintaining a growth mindset, building deep connections, and finding joy in small pleasures, we begin to see just how much life still has to offer even as we age. Too many people deprive themselves of these gifts, believing that they are no longer within reach, or that they've already experienced all that life has to offer. But as Samuel shows us, there's always a way to live fully if we are willing to adjust our perspective and apply wise principles to our lives. But what truly set Samuel apart wasn't just his wisdom, his ability to appreciate life, or his connections with others. It was something deeper. Throughout his life, Samuel had developed a profound understanding of a skill so essential, so transformative, that it drew people to him from across the village. Even the youth, who typically looked to their elders with impatience or indifference, came to him seeking advice. Everyone wanted to know how he had managed to stay so vital, so serene, and so wise despite the years weighing on his shoulders. And here lies the great secret. Samuel always had one skill, one piece of wisdom, that most people over 70 have either forgotten or never truly learned. But he did not share it with just anyone. Only those who were truly ready, those who had shown perseverance and a genuine desire to change their lives, were worthy of hearing what he called the great secret. Each day, Samuel woke up with the quiet knowledge that he was living his life on his terms, with no need for others to validate his existence. That self-reliance, that inner strength, is perhaps the greatest gift he gave himself. And it's a gift we could all benefit from embracing. His words linger in my mind. Life is too short to live it through others' eyes. How much richer, how much more fulfilling could our lives be if we learned to live for ourselves, not for the approval of others? It's a powerful reminder that the most important opinion about our worth will always be our own. Skill 10. Keeping meaningful relationships alive. As we grow older, it's not uncommon for people to slowly pull away from their once vibrant social circles. Friendships that were once so close begin to fade, loved ones move away or become distant, and little by little, a quiet loneliness begins to creep in. For many over 70, isolation can feel inevitable, like an inescapable part of aging. But does it have to be this way? Samuel didn't think so. He had seen what loneliness can do to the human spirit, how it can devour joy, energy, and sense of purpose. Yet even in his advanced years, he refused to let his relationships wither away. He knew that meaningful connections were the lifeblood of emotional well-being, and he fought to keep them alive. Whether it was a deep conversation with his children, a chat with a neighbor over a cup of tea, or simply offering a listening ear, To someone who traveled from afar seeking his wisdom, Samuel never stopped tending to his relationships. He compared them to the fire in a hearth. If you don't feed the fire, he would say, it slowly burns out. For him, it didn't matter if the interactions were grand or small. What mattered was the simple act of keeping that fire burning. The soul, Samuel believed, withers in isolation. Sharing moments with others, even the smallest of them, is what breathes meaning into our lives. Without those connections, we lose a vital part of ourselves. But Samuel was not like most. He had something special, a rare wisdom that allowed him to face life with a resilience that set him apart from the rest. He approached life with a wise mindset, adapting to whatever came his way, staying physically active, relying on his inner sense of worth, and above all, nurturing the relationships that mattered. This made him stand out in a world where so many retreat into themselves with age. But what truly made him exceptional wasn't just his habits or his wisdom. It was a secret that allowed him to live a life of purpose and satisfaction, while others slowly succumbed to isolation and decline. The truth is, the wisdom of age isn't about how many days you live, it's about how you live them. Samuel's story is a powerful reminder that aging doesn't have to be a slow surrender to weakness or resignation. His life is proof that with the right mindset, a hunger for learning, and the determination not to settle into complacency, it's possible to continue thriving even as the years pass. Samuel didn't allow society's expectations of old age to define him. He broke the mold. While others grew afraid of inactivity and withdrew from the world, he kept evolving. He showed us that true strength doesn't reside in physical power but in the resilience of the mind and spirit. Samuel's life was a constant flow of movement, learning, self-love, and connection with others. And if he could do it, so can you. His story is not just a lesson for those who have reached 70, but for all of us, no matter our age. Old age doesn't just arrive one day out of nowhere. It is something we build every day through the decisions we make, the actions we take, and the ones we choose not to take. How are you preparing for your future? Are you letting fear hold you back? Are you sinking into the comfort of routine, or are you facing life with the courage and wisdom that Samuel demonstrated? In the end, it's not about how many years you live, but how you live those years. Samuel's great secret. And now, as promised, let's uncover Samuel's secret. What was it that allowed him to remain so full of life, so vital, even when others around him gave up? His secret wasn't some mysterious, complex formula or a miracle cure. No, Samuel's secret was simplicity itself. He understood that life is made up of small, daily decisions that shape the way we age. Every morning he chose to care for his body, not to compete or push himself, but simply to be able to get out of bed without pain. Every day, he chose to learn something new, not to impress anyone, but to keep his mind sharp and curious. Every day he chose to surround himself with people who brought him peace, not to avoid loneliness, but to nurture his spirit. His secret was to live each day as if it were a gift, without complaints, without resentment, and with a deep, abiding gratitude for whatever life offered him, whether big or small. Samuel understood that true youth doesn't come from the body, it comes from the spirit. And as long as his spirit remained vibrant, he would never truly grow old. This, my friends, is the heart of Samuel's wisdom: to live with intention, to care for yourself, and to keep the fire of relationships alive. Because in the end, it's not the years that define us, it's the way we live them. Conclusion: as we come to the end of Samuel's incredible journey, I want to take a moment to reflect on the wisdom he has shared with us. His life was a powerful reminder that age is not a barrier but an opportunity to continue growing, learning, and nurturing the things that matter most. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What have you learned from Samuel's story? What is one piece of wisdom that truly resonated with you, and how will you apply it to your own life? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's inspire one another to live more intentionally, with gratitude and a commitment to lifelong growth. And if you liked this story, don't forget to leave your comment below. Give it a thumbs up and share it with others who might find Samuel's wisdom just as meaningful. Make sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on more inspiring content like this. Thank you for reading Samuel's story. May his wisdom inspire you to live each day with purpose, joy, and the quiet strength that comes from within. This secret was not about physical routines, diets, or even health advice that doctors typically provide. No, it was something much deeper, something so profound that once understood, it had the power to completely transform the way a person faced old age and every challenge life presented. The mystery of Samuel's secret became something of a legend in the village. The young people knew he possessed unique knowledge, something beyond what they could grasp in their fast-paced lives. Some believed his secret was connected to the tranquility that seemed to radiate from him. Others thought it had to do with his deep connection to nature or his uncanny ability to adapt to any situation without complaint. But Samuel, with his mysterious smile, never revealed it to just anyone. He was patient, waiting for the right moment and the right question. Many tried to approach him with vague or superficial curiosity, hoping for a quick answer or a simple fix to their problems. To them, Samuel would gently say, "You're not ready yet." But some returned. Those who came back again and again, facing their struggles with courage and humility, showed a true desire for wisdom and growth. And for them, Samuel had something special, a teaching that could change the course of their lives. Now, while not everyone was ready to hear Samuel's great secret, I promise you that in just a moment, I will share it with you. This secret, once you apply it to your life, will change your perspective on what it means to age, to live mindfully, and to face each day with purpose. But before we reveal this great wisdom, there are 4 more essential skills that people over 70 tend to lose, and it is within these last points that the core of Samuel's message truly lies. These skills aren't just physical actions. They are mental and emotional practices and attitudes toward life that many lose with age. But those who hold on to them, as Samuel did, are the ones who continue to live fully no matter how many years pass. So let us now move forward, uncovering the remaining skills that Samuel mastered. Skills that, if applied, can transform the way we face life's challenges and age with grace, strength, and wisdom. Skill 7. Adapting to changes without fear as the years go by. It becomes impossible to ignore the fact that the world is constantly shifting. Technology is evolving at a breakneck pace. Customs that once seemed unshakable are fading away, and the ways of life that many of us grew up with are becoming almost unrecognizable. For many people over 70, these changes can feel like an overwhelming tidal wave, something to be feared and resisted. It's not uncommon for them to cling tightly to the past where things felt simpler, more familiar, and safer. The present, with all its new demands, can seem too confusing, too fast-paced, and too foreign to navigate. The fear of the unknown becomes a wall, trapping them in a world that no longer exists. But then there are people like Samuel. He is the embodiment of serenity in the face of change, a beacon of wisdom and calm in a world that never stops evolving. While so many of his peers grow frustrated or anxious at the thought of learning something new, whether it's using a smartphone or adapting to new social norms, Samuel approaches it all with curiosity and grace. He doesn't fight change, he flows with it. He often says, with a deep sense of peace, in his voice, "Change is the only constant in life, and life is a continuous flow of experiences. Resisting it will only lead to suffering." There was something so profoundly moving about Samuel's approach. Instead of letting fear control him, he embraces the unknown with open arms. He understands that every change, no matter how intimidating it may seem at first, is an opportunity for growth, a chance to add new richness to life. His words resonate deeply, don't they? They remind us that the true source of suffering isn't change itself. It's our refusal to accept it. Watching Samuel reminds me that we all have a choice. We can either get stuck in the quicksand of fear and resistance, or we can learn to ride the waves of life with courage, curiosity, and an open heart. In a world where so many are overwhelmed by what's new, Samuel stands as a powerful reminder that age is not a barrier to learning, adapting, or finding peace. Instead, It's an opportunity to approach life with the wisdom that only comes from experience and the courage to welcome whatever comes next. Skill 8. Staying physically active at a functional level. We grow older. It's not just the passing of time we feel. It's the gradual loss of physical independence that can weigh so heavily on our hearts. For many people over 70, the simple acts of daily life, bending down to pick something up, carrying a bag of groceries, or even walking a short distance, become painful, exhausting battles. This slow erosion of strength and mobility is one of the hardest realities to face. Losing the ability to move freely, to rely on your own body without fear of pain or fatigue, can feel like losing a vital part of yourself. It's no wonder that so many people feel frustration and sorrow as their physical abilities diminish. But then there's Samuel, a man who has always embraced the quiet power of staying active in the simplest, most functional ways. He never chased after extreme fitness routines or pushed his body beyond its limits. Instead, he made a daily commitment to keep moving, to remain in tune with his body's natural rhythms. Every morning, without fail, he would take a walk through the fields, letting the fresh air fill his lungs and the steady movement of his legs remind him of life's pulse. He would spend time in his small garden, tending to the earth, bending, lifting, and stretching, not as a form of exercise, but as a way of staying connected to the world around him and to the vitality within himself. What makes Samuel's approach so beautiful is that it's not about intensity, but about consistency. He never allowed his body to fall into the trap of inactivity, knowing that even the smallest movement can make a profound difference. As he so wisely put it, your body is like a field. If you leave it unused, it will soon become overgrown with weeds. But if you take care of it a little each day, it will always remain fertile. Those words hold such emotional truth, don't they? There's something deeply reassuring about the idea that we don't need to push ourselves to the brink to stay healthy as we age. We just need to care for our bodies a little each day, nurturing them with movement just as we would tend to a garden. And like a garden, our bodies will reward us with continued vitality if we give them the attention they deserve. Watching Samuel reminds me of the simple joys of movement, of feeling your muscles stretch, your joints bend, and your body respond. To the world, it's not about running marathons or lifting heavy weights. It's about keeping the flame of life alive through steady, gentle effort. His way of living shows us that staying active doesn't have to be daunting. It can be a source of joy, a daily reminder that no matter our age, we are still capable, still alive, and still growing. Skill 9. Not depending on external validation. How often do we see elderly people longing for approval, yearning for recognition from their children, family, or even strangers? It's a heartbreaking reality that so many people over 70 find themselves feeling invisible, as if they no longer matter because they don't receive the same attention they once did. They wait for their opinions to be heard, for their presence to be acknowledged, and when that validation doesn't come, they begin to question their worth. It's as though their self-esteem slowly slips away, dependent entirely on how others perceive them. This need for external approval can become a heavy burden, and it's painful to watch so many elders struggle with feelings of insignificance. But then there's Samuel, a man who never let the opinions of others dictate his self-worth. Despite living in a small, tight-knit village where everyone knew each other's business, he refused to live his life seeking validation from those around him. Samuel had a quiet, unshakable confidence that came from within, a confidence that didn't waver based on whether or not others praised him or sought his advice. Life is too short to live it through others' eyes, he would say with a wisdom that cut straight to the heart. He understood something profound. The only approval he ever truly needed was his own. There's something so liberating, so emotionally powerful about that realization. Samuel freed himself from the exhausting cycle of seeking approval from others. He didn't wait for someone to tell him he was valuable, important, or loved. He carried those truths within himself, and that inner peace radiated through everything he did. Watching him live with such self-assurance, I can't help but feel deeply moved. In a world that often measures worth by the attention we receive, Samuel showed that true freedom comes from knowing your value regardless of how others see you. It's a lesson that resonates on a deep level. So many of us, no matter our age, fall into the trap of living for external validation. We seek approval in likes, comments, compliments, and other fleeting forms of recognition. But Samuel's life reminds us that this pursuit is a never-ending chase. The real gift we can give ourselves is the ability to stand firm in our own approval, to know that we are enough whether or not the world tells us so.